5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to Speaking Cinema, Serious Movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast. Coming to you live from Omaha, Nebraska, LA, CA.
Yeah. Jumping states.
Follow us on Twitter at Speaking Cinema, rate, review, subscribe, and listen to us Jibber Jabber on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn.
Wherever you like to get your podcast.
But we only posted those four.
The ones
so
that we posted.
If you're listening to it on those, either we've, in the future, changed our ways, or don't be listening on that.
Yeah.
Come where I can track you, damn it. I am your prom king, Mr. Jibber Jabber. With me today, the weird kid who eats lunch alone in the science lab, Kev.
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
I
usually ate in the hallway.
You just gonna own it?
Yeah, I'll just own that.
All right.
So. I wasn't cool. I wasn't popular.
Oh, wow. We're getting dark right out the gate. That's cool. All right. This time on the Jibber Jabber, reading, writing, Revenge! Election from 1999, written by Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor, based on the novel by Tom
Parada,
directed by Alexander Payne.
Yep.
Starring Matthew Broderick, Maddie Broads, Reese Witherspoon, and Chris Klein. Produced by MTV Films, distribution, Paramount. If you're not familiar, Mild Manor High School's teacher, Jim McAllister, Matthew Broderick, plots revenge against a do-gooder student, Tracy Flick, Reese Witherspoon, who just cost one of Jim's fellow teachers his job when she runs for class president. Kev, you picked this movie.
Indeed I did.
Director Alexander Payne was a fan of the novel, bought the rights to it in 1997. The novel is a reworking of the 1941 novel, What Makes Sammy Run, by Bud Schlumberg?
Yeah, that's how I pronounced it.
Schlumberg. And the script is also inspired by two key historical events: Ross Perot entering the 1992 presidential Bush-Clinton race as a third-party candidate, and a scandal at a Wisconsin high school where a pregnant student was elected homecoming queen, but the staff announced a different winner and burned the ballots to cover it up.
Oof.
Whoa.
Hot scandal. Hot take.
First question, which one's worse, Ross Perot or that scandal?
I was kind of compelled by Ross Perot when I was like...
You were a Ross Perot kid?
I was like 6 or 7 when Ross Perot was around, and I was kind of
we were older than that.
That was 92, and I was born in 86.
I was born in 86.
Yeah. So
we were in like... No. Wait, did you run twice?
No, it was only the 92 campaign.
No way. We had to be like in third. I had to be like in.
I was definitely in like 3rd grade.
Yeah, 3rd grade. That's not. Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
We're on the same
anyways.
page. So I remember I had there is a 3 of my friends were super into Ross Perot, and then when he didn't win any of the states or whatever, it was like that little kid logic of like, well, if he gets the ones that aren't decided yet, and it's like, no, dude, that one's worth. He's not gonna get California is worth 40, or Texas is worth 27. He's gonna get. Omaha, Nebraska. He's getting Nebraska's worth 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A lot of people learned about the Electoral College.
The Electoral College. That's what Ross Perot gave us.
Yeah.
So that guy's still alive?
I think he's still around.
I remember on SNL they would mercilessly just make fun of
Dana
him.
Carvey was.
Yeah, that was great.
He was a good Ross Perot.
My favorite sketch of that was Ross Perot's idea to have like the American shoe, and it was just like a loafer. And he's like, it comes in small, medium, or large. This is really good. Oh, man. All right.
Ross Perot and his charts. He had a lot of charts.
A lot of charts.
Yep. So,
A lot of charts. Alexander Payne specifically had Matthew Broderick in mind for the role of Mr. McAllister due to him playing arguably the most popular film high school student of all time, Ferris Bueller, the titular character from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Of course.
Payne wanted to cast him against type as a respected authority figure. This is also the film debut of Chris Klein, native of Omaha. Fun fact, call themselves Ohamians?
I believe it's Omahans.
I like Ohamians.
Ohamians is way better. And just for the record, that fact is not fun.
I think I made that fact fun by my inability to read, write, and say things. Filming for this movie took place mostly in Omaha, Nebraska, and Papillon Vista High School, with local students and teachers used as extras. Critics generally favored this film when it was released. Bravo ranked it number 61 funniest movie of all time. Entertainment Weekly ranked it number 9 greatest high school movie. And Reese Witherspoon's performance was ranked as one of the 100 greatest performances ever by Premiere Magazine, coming in at number 45.
That's impressive. Out of all film history, they've tossed her in there.
I'm not going to say that it is or isn't impressive. I'm just saying, who's writing these lists?
Somebody's paid to write lists.
Listen, someone put them on the list. That's impressive. If you can do anything in this world where one person thinks you're the best at it, right? That's like,
It's impressive.
That's impressive. Like, you think about the things that you like, right? What's your favorite fast food restaurant?
In-N-Out.
So the people in and out should be happy that someone thinks that they are the best in the universe. You know what I mean?
They should.
My favorite professional wrestling company is PWG out of Reseda, California.
Yeah.
PWG.wrestling.com. I would argue that that's the greatest promotion in the history of the universe.
Always a good time.
They
at
should
the
be.
PWD show.
Yeah, they should be happy. As an aside here, and we're gonna just tangent horribly. The prices on the Battle of Los Angeles this year are out of control.
Where are they?
$70 front row, 55
Oof.
general admission.
Jeez.
No 3-day passes, so it's not like you get a discounted 3-day pass.
We gotta go 55 like each day.
Every day.
Oh,
Yeah.
they know who they're marketing to, right? These are
Shit.
the schlubs of the world.
Yeah, this schlub fucking got schlubbed right out.
Yowza.
God damn it. This movie, nominated for an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay, lost to The Cider House Rules. Didn't make any money, blah, blah, blah. Cult classic. You probably saw it on Comedy Central. I know I saw it advertised on Comedy Central, maybe watched a clip or two here and there. Never watched it beginning to end.
Yeah, I feel it made the rounds on TV in the late 90s, early 2000s when it came out. And that's kind of where it built its status, I think. So.
Built it back up.
Yep.
As all comedies are destined to end up on Comedy Central. And that's a real true litmus test if you could last.
I've seen a lot of comedies on Comedy Central.
There you go.
That's where I discovered Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Changed my life.
Speaking of where to see movies, if you want to see this movie, as of this recording, Election is currently streaming on Netflix. If you pay monthly for Netflix, you can watch that movie for a small subscription fee. It is also available to purchase on DVD, Blu-ray, digital, and digital formats for major online retailers: Sony, Xbox, Vudu, Amazon.com. I assume you know how you like it. I'm talking to you, the listener. So get it the way you get it. Call up your local rental store if it exists. If it doesn't exist,
There's still some out there.
there's still some out there. It's kind of a fun experience to go. It's kind of a fun
It
experience.
is. So,
So
if it's well organized and well taken care of, you can really discover some cool stuff.
what's the one?
video
What's the one? Is Vidiot still open here in LA?
I've driven by it, but I don't know if it's still open. There's one on Pico right next to the Newark Theater. I believe it's called Cinespia.
Yes.
That one is still open and operating, so that one's pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah,
Kevin,
me
the dude. Have you heard of this movie?
sure have.
So much so that you wrote this thing I just wrote.
Yes,
and,
I did.
And suggested it for this podcast. So
Indeed, I did.
I have not. I have heard of this movie. Obviously, have not seen it. You've seen it. You own it. How many times would you say you've seen it?
Ooh, at least 10.
10 times.
I would say I've shown it. I've shown it to a lot of people, and I've watched it on my own many times.
I feel like you watch not more movies like number, but more movies like times you've watched it.
It depends on what
Than me.
mood. Depends on the mood I'm in. Sometimes I do want something familiar, and that's why I buy a lot of movies. So I have kind of my collection, and yeah, I think sometimes I'm just in the mood for something I know all the beats to and all the parts, and I just want to, get that. It's like eating mac and cheese, it's comfort.
I, by contrast, always feel like I'm behind on all the things I want to do. I try to just watch things once, and then I end up moving on. That's not anything against the movies I'm watching. It's just like, I haven't seen Twitch of the Death Nerve yet. I gotta fucking get there. You know what I mean?
You're going for quantity,
Well, I want them both. You know what I mean? But I lost a couple of years there. Not having any money of any kind.
I
So
understand.
trying to catch back up.
The lean years.
The lean years, back when Netflix wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But you're doing great, guys.
They're
Keep it
doing
up.
good.
So why'd you pick this movie for our little Jibber Jabber here?
I think this movie is almost perfect.
Almost perfect.
I think it's I would almost go so far as say it is like the perfect movie. Just when you put movie in the dictionary, Election should be the first one that comes up.
Interesting.
I think the script is extremely good. The way it juggles multiple storylines but pays all of them off emotionally, and the way they all tie into each other in really interesting ways. I think it's incredibly well shot. It's very funny. I think anybody could watch it, no matter how old, what race, gender, sex you are. Anybody can. Gender and sex. Yeah, same thing.
No, not.
Yeah, they are.
No. I guess sex is the thing that there's two sexes, right? It's a biological term, right? You have either XY or XX. Gender is something that society constructs based off of things like race.
So, I forgot we're in the 21st century.
And now you know.
But yeah, I think. I just really think this movie is just about flawless, and that's why I want to talk about it.
Okay, so this is why we do the podcast, because in contrast, I remember as a high school student seeing the commercial for this on Comedy Central.
It was on MTV a lot too, because MTV produced it.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it a lot.
Maybe I'm confusing them, but I remember seeing the ads for it playing on TV, becoming very annoyed and being like, I will not watch this movie. And I really, for what you would describe as a quintessential movie, have never had any inclination to ever watch this movie, and I'd probably go to my grave or future cybernetic body never having watched this movie if this podcast didn't exist. So
all right.
We are on it's not a binary spectrum. It's not a straight line. But if what we're talking about here is more of a circle shape, I'm at like noon and you're at like 6:30 or something.
Right,
you know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah.
And
And there's two hands, so I got two hands straight up, and you got one hand this way, one hand that way.
There we go.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely when I watched this movie, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I was like, oh, I've heard this is funny. It's a good comedy. Whatever, I'll watch it. And then was really just floored by how well it was written.
Isn't that how it always goes, though, right? It's like your favorite movie is never... Or maybe I'm wrong about this, but it seems like your favorite movie is never the one that you're like, that's the one I'm going to love. It's always like something that catches you off guard.
I mean, yeah, my favorite movie is Apocalypse Now. And I only picked that up because that's when I was starting to get into like the classics. And I said, oh, this movie, people talk about it a lot. And that is my favorite movie to this day. I watched it while eating pancakes and sausage in my parents' basement and fell in love.
Pancakes and sausage? What kind of sausage?
Just your standard sausage.
Breakfast?
Breakfast sausage.
Uh-huh.
So it's you never know when you're gonna find the next great thing for you. So,
we should do a season that's just our favorite movies.
Oh boy, that'd be fun.
Although, like, we're gonna do another season. We're gonna do the thing in that season. So I got a million favorite movies, but my favorite ones, we're probably gonna cover elsewhere. But that's okay.
I should write that list down someday. My favorite movies.
Yeah, and then write them down, and then write like an introduction in the format that we currently do, and then let's fucking do them for the show.
Good times.
Yeah, because we're the center of the universe, Kev. When we go to sleep, if we're both asleep, there's no universe to even speak of.
We gotta get through sweep season here.
the podcast sweeps. I wish that was a thing. So, are you familiar with the films of Alexander Payne?
Yes, I am. He's
Citizen Ruth, About Schmidt, Sideways, The Descendants, and Nebraska.
Ever since this movie, I've kind of like, I'm going to follow Alexander Payne with everything he does. And I really like all of his movies, except Nebraska.
Oh, really?
Really didn't like that film.
That was quite the darling of last year, was that?
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago, but...
Yeah, 2 years ago to us, but you, the listener, who knows? 1,000 years ago?
Exactly.
You don't even know.
Yeah, no, people fell head over heels for that, and I just thought... It was a good drama and a terrible comedy at the same time. Like it had when it was just the scenes between Bruce Dern and Will Forte. I was like, this is great. Like this is really like a cut to the bone father-son movie. And then it was like married with sitcom level stupid humor.
That's how I feel about the Hangover movie. It's a great drama but a terrible comedy.
Yeah.
Ba-boom.
So yeah, but I really like his style. I think he has an ear for very human stories. And
we'll get to that in a second.
We're getting to that shortly, but nobody makes movies like he does. He makes these very sophisticated, stupid comedies. It's like the characters might be kind of not stupid, but kind of like he does a lot of men stories, and men are generally thought of as kind of baseless and sex driven and whatever. But he finds
Hashtag men's rights.
exactly. He finds pathos in regular people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really his strength.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to take. You just said that no one makes movies like him. Not gonna disagree with you, but I'll have to take your word for it because I have never seen Citizen Ruth, About Schmidt, Sideways, The Descendants, or Nebraska.
Not a single one.
Not. I maybe.
Not even by accident.
Which one's About Schmidt?
That's Jack Nicholson.
No, that I saw As Good as It Gets or something. One with Cuba Gooding Jr. Not that one, right?
Yeah, no, not that one.
Okay. So yeah, no, never seen any of those. Not trying not to see them, just
Never getting around.
never got around to it. You know, The Descendants. I've heard that's the one with George Clooney and he's
Yep.
Hawaiian or whatever, right? So we should do Aloha.
Oh no. For the record, neither of us have seen Aloha, but we live in a time where that movie is getting horrible press and is getting ravaged.
And maybe
The big controversy being Emma Stone, who is a redheaded white girl playing an Asian person.
that's like the forefront one, but it's supposed to be just everything about it is just absolute dog shit.
Yeah, that's why.
And maybe you listener in the future, you know, in your beautiful future you live in, maybe we've turned the corner on that movie and saw the humor of it. Maybe you need to secretly an absurdist romp that no one understands. But in 2015, as of August 1st, that movie is stinks.
And the director has publicly apologized for things in it, which doesn't give you a lot of hope that he actually believed in what he was doing, huh?
No.
All right.
Speaking of directors, Alexander Payne once said during an award ceremony acceptance speech that small human films should be the norm in Hollywood and not seen as a quote-unquote artistic achievement. What do you think about that, Kev? What do we think about that, Kev?
As much as I like Alexander Payne, I actually disagree with this statement. I think he has an ear for it and can tell really compelling kind of regular Joe stories. I think a lot of people fall on their face when they try and do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just tell really boring human stories, and they're so focused on telling, like, trying to keep it real that they forget to even tell a story to begin with. And I think Alexander really just has an ear and an eye to make it believable and make it compelling, whereas a lot of people don't. So I think it is an artistic achievement because we live our day-to-day lives every day, and we don't necessarily want to see that when we go to a movie. So if you can do that and make it an interesting story, then I think that's really quite the feat, personally.
And to piggyback off what you're saying here, I don't deride him for saying. I don't necessarily agree with him. I don't deride him for saying that. If that's his take on movies, that's totally fine, right? You get what who am I to say you should want this out of a movie or this out of, if you want whatever you want. But I feel like on the whole, the fandom for these kinds of movies is very complainy based, right? Like people who are like, for example, The Way, Way Back is a movie that I think fits into that kind of a mold of a small human story. That movie is great. But the people who are like, we should make movies like Way, Way Back, it's like, they make movies like this. They come out, they have small releases, VOD, second run theaters, art house theaters, you know what I mean? Like down here, the Sundance, Sunset 5.
Yep.
They'll play movies like that. I mean, if you don't live in a big city, I can see how this could be an issue for you. You'd have to go to VOD and stuff. But if you live in LA, you could find those stories, maybe not every weekend, but probably as much as you want to go to the movies. And people don't seek those out. And they don't get big releases. And I think what they want is people to get behind. What they really want is the big studios to get behind these small stories and spend an appropriate amount of money to tell them. That's a fine criticism, but to act like those movies don't exist at all, I think is a little bit irrational.
Yeah, I agree. It's and yeah, part of it is on, I think, a little bit on the viewer of like, if you live in a city where you just don't get it, then that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do?
You have to seek it out whatever you can. But yeah, there's, people always talk about, we need these more, thoughtful, critical human movies, and then when they come out, nobody goes to see them. It's. And they give all their money to Transformers and all that bullshit.
Right, which I have done 4 times opening weekend as of 4 movies.
So yeah, I feel like...
I don't know why I do it, Kev.
I don't know why you do it either. Yeah, people
pure judgment.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, so there's something falling off my roof right now?
Is there?
I don't know. Did you hear that?
I heard a thump.
I heard that thump too. Here, you talk for a second.
All right. But yeah, I feel that a lot of, like what Mr. Jibber Jabber said, people get complainy and then they don't actually even seek out the thing that they say they want so badly. Because I go to a lot of those screenings at a lot of those smaller theaters, and there are not a lot of people at those. So, you know,
What can you do though?
it's practice what you preach.
That exactly. That's what you can do.
Yep.
Is just seek them out, champion them, right? And it's like one of those things where it's like everyone talks in these shitty cliches, right? Of like, in the age of social media, content is king. It's like, no, marketing is still important, but if you want to participate and you believe that stuff, why don't you pimp it out on your Facebook? Why don't you put it out on your Twitter? Why don't you talk about it? You know what I mean? Publicly in that kind of, give it, Instagram that ticket, homie.
Yep.
Come on. But, people, I think it's easy to want something, but it's harder to have it.
I mean, talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Not to use a cliche, but talk is cheap.
In this case, very cheap.
And hey, you know what's also great? If you live in a big city like LA, usually the director's at one of those screenings or does a
Or at least
Q&A.
Skyping in.
Or somebody's there and the filmmakers are available and you can talk to them about things you want to talk about.
You got any examples of these things that you've done?
I saw Foxcatcher with Bennett Miller, who was in attendance. We also did. You and I saw You're Next with the filmmakers in attendance.
I don't know if that's a small human story, but it is for me, damn it. Oh,
And
that was great.
And was the Cemetery Man
Yeah.
with Peter was Peter Medak? Oh no, I'm thinking of The Changeling. Peter Medak.
Oh,
was there.
that was amazing.
Yep, that was a good screen too. That guy's
Yeah.
like this crazy Dutch dude, and he had really good stories. So.
And he's like, so that was for the Cine Family. Also, shout out Cine Family. Shout out New Beverly.
Great theater.
Shout out Sunset 5. Shout out
The Landmark.
Landmark, The Egyptian, Arclight. Shout out Downtown Independent. Shout out motherfucking. I'm gonna shout out the Arena Cinema. I've never been there, but I'm sure it's good. What's that one over there on the Rocky Horror Picture every Friday?
Oh, the Newark.
The New Art. What's that one?
The Regent.
Is that the one where they play the Room?
Yep, the Regent and the Arrow Theater
Yeah.
in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
So, a lot of shouting out independent theaters, keeping these movies that they don't have the money to get to the big theaters, but they're still showcasing them, and people are getting the chance to see these stories.
So, quick story on that with the Changeling. It was part of the what was it called, something Midnights? What was it? What's that?
Yeah, Friday Night Frights.
Friday Night Frights. Thank you. At the Cine Family, they play a horror movie at midnight. Oh, me and Kev, battle our young old ageness and go. And so they do a little Q&A at the top of the hour, and then they go right into the movie. And so what they do is they'll turn off the lights and they ask everyone to scream. So there's like, we're gonna get started here. We'll turn off the lights and everyone do what you do every Friday, scream. And then so everyone screams. And then the dude who's still mic'd, he goes, "You people should be watching movies. This is the what did he say?"
He said, he's like, I'm so glad people still go to the theater. He's
Yeah.
like, it's so much better than fucking TV.
Yeah. He was really putting over that crowd, which is a great experience.
Yep.
And then you can have those unique experiences. Again, if you live in Omaha, Nebraska, maybe not.
But there might be an art house theater out there.
But yeah, there is.
You might need to drive to Lincoln, but it
Yeah.
might be there.
Google it up.
Find your art house theater, folks.
That's our life advice. See more movies.
And I'm going to throw another shout out to the Magic Lantern in Spokane, Washington, where I spent many a night watching unique films in a town that doesn't really support it. There's a small community, but I feel it's not big.
And I was too dumb to do that in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I think we went
You
to.
had your chance.
There's some theaters up there called Camera something like they're always like the stupid movie theater way is like Camera 3, Camera 6 because they have 6 theaters.
Yeah.
Whatever, that's such a stupid thing. But the Camera cinemas, I guess, they would play. I saw Contra Jungle Hidden Dragon there, and I remember being blown away. So I'll shout out them. But I was too stupid to be like, maybe I should grab a flyer or like look at this website or like Google this ever. Too dumb.
Yep.
Speaking of dumb, are you a fan of high school movies, Kev?
Overall, yes. I think they vary in quality, but I think it's something we can all relate to. And
Interesting.
I think so, for the most part. I mean, we didn't have a Teen Wolf in my high school, but Teen Wolf's a pretty funny movie. So.
I would say that I would not tell you that I'm a fan of high school movies. I'm a fan of slasher movies, which are in a very cousin-y way high school movies because they're usually about teenagers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's relatable in that, you know, we all go through this weird societal teenage angst thing that's filtered through this high school kind of a thing. I feel like when I was, before I went to high school, I was interested in it. When I was in high school, I was interested in those stories. And now that I'm done with high school, I don't really give a shit as much. Probably why I haven't seen this movie. And I don't know. I mean, there's this stereotype of like the cool chick is the jock and the cheerleader, and then you got like this and that group, and then the stoners, and you got this. And I feel like my high school experience was not that cut and dry. There was like the preppy kids that were like, you know, by preppy that's Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah, our high school days were very dominated by the Abercrombie and Fitch people.
Yeah,
they were the popular people.
Abercrombie and Fitch, also a little American Eagle sprinkled in for variety.
Yeah.
For those shitty neon polos, but and those cargo shorts. But like that was a group, but like I had my own group of friends. You know, it was like the skaters, like the metalheads, the stoners, like. You know, it was like this mishmash group, but it was like, you know, we were rolling pretty deep in terms of numbers. It's not like, you know, and also it was a Catholic private school, so it's not like no one could like come up to you and like punch you in the face or like lock you in a lock. You get expelled. You know what I mean? So it's like there wasn't like the threat of physical violence or anything. So it wasn't. I don't know. I mean, they were like, I guess they were the preppies were like the cool kids, and that's who the school identified as like represented the class.
Yeah.
But like we were kind of in our own little world, so it's like I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my group was kind of on the fringe too. It's like we weren't the complete outcast like the you know, like the goth kids or people like that.
No, we didn't have any goth kids. We had some skinheads though. That was weird.
Ugh, that's weird.
Yeah, they got real weird.
Yeah, our groups were, we were kind of like right in the middle. Like we knew enough of like some of the more popular kids, but we weren't really popular ourselves until I won that talent show. Oh shit!
Yeah, because your life isn't Teen Wolf, but is it? Can't hardly wait.
It was. And yeah, we had kind of the redneck kids. You know, they pretend to love hunting and fishing, even though they lived in the suburbs. Mm-hmm. And yeah, preppy kids and skaters and kind of all the standard stuff. Nothing too out of control at my high school. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I had a very centralized experience and sort of was able to view. Wasn't really in a clique per se. Was able to kind of float in between a lot of different people. So,
why do you think that genre has petered out over the years? The high school movie.
You know, I've been thinking about this and I can't figure out. I can't think of an explanation as to why we just don't care about the high school movie anymore. In the 80s?
Does High School Musical count?
I mean, technically, yeah.
But that's not a trend, though. That's
exactly.
4 movies is not a trend.
And that kind of came and went pretty quick. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel like in the 80s, you know, if you type in 80s high school movie into Google, you get a million entries, you know, tons of stuff. You type in 2010 high school movie, you get like 4.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know why it's petered out. Teenagers are still going to movies.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not as romanticized as much in this day and age.
I think that's part of it. I also think that, you know, trends come and go, right? And if you make a million high school movies, then that gets boring, and then you have to take some time off, and then people get nostalgic, and then they can come back.
Yep. Kind of like we talked about in the Rango episode with Westerns.
Right.
You know, maybe they inundated that genre, and then nobody wanted to go back to it.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I feel like movies about young people today, like... I mean, right now we're getting... They're not really about high school. There's more about, like... I mean, like, there's, like, in the last calendar year, as of this recording... You had Me, Earl, and Dying Girl, you had Paper Towns, and you had Fault in Our Stars, which are all high school stories. 2 of them about cancer. I think that's just a coincidence, though. And, you know, Fox put those movies out, and I think Fox is chasing that, like, tween audience. I think everyone else is too busy chasing the 4-quadrant audience, right? They're chasing the comic book movies and things like that. So it's like, it's kind of a 2-quadrant thing, like young women, young men. You know what I mean? You can't, it's not... My mom, who's, you know, 60 years old, is not going to go see a high school movie. You know what I mean? But she did go see fucking Batman Begins.
There you go. It's, and yeah, I think...
Which, by the way, surprised the both of us.
Hey, my mom went to Batman Begins, too, so there you go.
So
yeah, I think it's, younger people these days are more into, they want to see a property they're familiar with.
Yeah.
And not so much the thing they go through every day. Whereas in the 80s, I wasn't a high school kid in the 80s, so I don't know. But I feel like the idea of
you were currently not born.
As I was an embryo, just wanted to see their life on screen, basically. And they didn't have, it was either watch your dad's movies, which were Westerns, or war movies, or you watch the movies. They were about you, man. It was high school movies, know. So, yeah, it's an interesting that genre. I feel like that would be a timeless genre, but it really has petered out as the years go by. So, it's interesting.
Did your high school have any major scandals in your time?
Sure did. We had 2.
I assume that you're going to share these?
Yeah, am I going to share these? So, first one wasn't as big. There was a kid. He brought a gun to school, and he was going to kill a teacher.
Wow.
But that's not the scandal part.
Bury the lead, Joe.
That's not the scandal. The scandal was that, so what really happened is he did get on campus after school, and he was going to do it, but then he chickened out at the end, and then somebody caught him.
All right.
Basically.
How they? Because he just holding the gun by his side.
Those details are fuzzy, so I'm not sure. Okay. But the scandal was the administration at the time. It was a new principal, new administration. They tried to say, "Oh no, we caught him outside of campus. There were no people on campus when he tried to do it. It was this completely safe thing. Like, oh, we totally had it under control." And they absolutely did not have it under control.
Wow.
So that got him in big trouble.
Wow. So they got caught in that lie?
Yeah, they got caught saying, like, oh no, we were completely safe, and nobody was threatened, when, like, people actually were potentially threatened. Because it was at, there were after-school kids there were sports people there. Like, if this kid wanted to, he could have shot them too. So. Wow. So yeah, they tried to put this face of posterity on it, and they just absolutely did not do that.
Which I feel like in a post-Columbine world, like, as long as you catch him before he does it, I don't think anyone's gonna look at you too sideways.
Exactly.
But I assume he got expelled.
Oh yeah, no.
Did he get like juvie?
I'm not sure what happened to him after.
Oh, the constant threat of juvie.
It's always there.
The constant threat.
The carrot.
My cousin, man, juvie. What? All right, so that was number 1.
Second one. This is the juicier one. So we had, and this is, I'm gonna use some names. This is all on record. It's all public record. You can look it up. We had a teacher. His name was Mr. X.
So that's his legal name.
That's his legal name. He was...
really?
Yeah, no, that's his legal name.
Wow.
He was part... his name was Mr. X.
Is it wrong that I already love this story? We'll see what happens. We'll see how it ends.
So he's part of the Black Islamist movement.
Sure.
So, X. He started as a substitute teacher, and he eventually worked his way into being a teacher at the school.
Right.
Everybody loved him. He was a great teacher.
What was it? Okay, yeah.
He loved kids. I mean, as a substitute, he would do anything. He did math, science,
right?
History. I had him for a lot of different. He was one of the best go-to substitutes. Mm-hmm. Got a full-time job in my school. Everybody loved him. He loved the kids. Loved one girl a little too much.
Oh no!
Yep. So, one of my teachers actually caught him in the mid-fellatio with this girl who was a sophomore. And again, that got exposed, and they found all these love notes that he had to her, and they were creepy. And he had a wife and a child too, so it was all very. But what's funny about this story? Obviously, he got charged with a crime. He was expelled, or can't teach anymore. Not sure whatever happened to him.
Disbarred, or whatever that means.
Yeah, the equivalent of getting disbarred as a teacher. Mm-hmm. So, when the story broke, I was in the news crew for my school. So we did the morning news every morning.
The announcements?
Yeah, the announcements. We had a whole show, Mm-hmm. And 2 of my friends were always the main anchors. And we'd always try and sneak dirty jokes in, no matter what. We usually got away with it. And one guy is main anchor, his name was James. He insisted that we play DMX's ex gonna give it to you.
Oh my god.
We had to kind of do it through the back channels because I was the audio guy at the time. He's like, dude, no, we have to do it. Like, we have to open the show.
That, by the way,
With
I'm
DMX
laughing. I'm laughing at how unbelievably tasteless that is. How that is just like,
And we did it. We got away with it.
and no one noticed.
Nobody complained. I'm sure somebody
noticed. Yeah.
Like every now and then we'd sneak a joke in, and teacher would be like, "Hey, that's not cool." You know, we didn't get a word about X gonna give it to you.
Nah,
opening the broadcast after this story broke.
Wow.
So that was and that was the same year as Gun Kid. So it was an interesting senior year of my high school.
Wow. Wow.
Yep, X gonna give it to you.
Wow. Damn.
You have any scandals?
I mean, nah, not really. Like,
Everybody just too straight laced in Mountain View.
people pretty straight laced. It was, like some kid got expelled, like, the hooking up in the back of a class, and like, they expelled him but not her, and then he's like, well, why not? And it's like, shut up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that happened one time. But other than that, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, everyone was just like, I think there's too much of a threat of like, you'll fuck up your whole life if you fuck up here kind of thing. Like at my school, like some of the teachers went to the school when they were like, high schoolers, and their senior prank was they made pornographic statues out of cement, aka fucking statues.
Yeah.
Buried them in the lawn the day before commencement, and they could not get them out in time. Right? That was what they fucking did. And then they were like to us, like, if anyone is caught doing, any kind of senior prank, you will be suspended with the possibility of expulsion. You will not walk at the whatever, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? And I remember, like, it was a weird time. Like, I had a reputation for being like really, like, exotically dressed, not exotically, but like really like loudly dressed. I had like Vans slip-ons that were yellow, and people were like, "Hey man, don't wear those shoes again." And it's like,
Jeez.
like I wore like red Dickies one time, and like people got mad at me.
Really?
Yeah, because it was like I don't know, man. Like living in LA, this is like the most foreign concept ever. Because like if someone walks around, and this happened to me one time when I was working at the movie theater, where a girl came in with like a see-through shirt, no bra, right, and nobody gave a fuck. I'm sure someone cared, but no one said anything.
There's people with green hair working at Starbucks.
Yeah,
For God's sake.
with tattoos of all things.
Tattoos.
Oh, this is. I mean, my stories are all stupid compared to yours, but like, so Catholic private school, can't have long hair. I had longish hair at the time, and when I say longish, I mean like shitty dude, down to your ear or whatever. But your hair couldn't be longer than your ear, right? Now. Top of your ear, bottom of your ear. That's not for you to decide. That's for whoever to get you in trouble to decide. So I got a note on a Monday morning, like first period, Monday morning note, your hair's too long, you need to cut it. Right? And then you need to come back to the dean's office and show them that you've cut your hair. And I got all fucking bent out of shape, so I had my friend just take a pair of like school scissors, like with the plastic handle, and just cut off the back of my hair, and I'm like, basically, I'm gonna be ugly despite you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it looked like shit. It looked terrible. And I went in and I'm like, hey, cut my hair. And she's like, wait, did you get the note? The note didn't go out until this morning. I'm like, yep. And she was just like, okay. And I'm like, showed you, you know what I mean? And then I went home, my mom was like, why do you gotta...
It's like that they did through a note. Nobody had the stones to like, just go, hey, hair's too long.
Also, if you said, hey, Jesus had long hair, how come I can't have long hair?
The Catholics are nothing if not passive aggressive.
No, well, in that case, they got aggressive, where it's
aggressive.
Don't be a smartass. And it's like, hey, Jesus had sandals, a beard, and long hair. I can't have any of those things. And he's kind of wearing a flowy robe. I can't wear a flowy robe to a school. What's going on here? Huh?
Double standards.
Double standards. So, nothing like on your level at all.
I just love... I'll never forget James walking in and going, we gotta play X, go give it to you. I'll never. I will never forget that for as long.
Did
as
he
I
have the DMX CD in his possession?
And we had like a whole library of songs and
Uh-huh.
everything, so I knew we had it somewhere. That song was big at the time.
Were you
so.
sweating it or what?
Oh no, I was like, oh fuck yeah, we're gonna do it.
I would have been sweating it.
And our teacher who ran the thing, he was cool, so you know.
Did he laugh? Did you catch him laughing?
I don't think he caught it either, but yeah, the fact that we led like the Monday after this broke with X Gonna Give It To You, I'll never forget it. It was
Wow.
great. A lot of good times in that class.
I wonder if anyone really noticed it.
I'm
you
sure
think-
somebody did.
Yeah, I have to, right?
I hope they love it as much as I did.
I love it. It's tasteless, but I love it. All right. Jesus Christ.
Speaking of Jesus, let's get into rapid fire.
Yeah, rapid fire. High school jibber jabber. Ready?
Here we go.
Number 2 pencil or erasable pens?
Pencil.
Pencil. Fuck erasable pens. Fuck mechanical pencils. What
They
are you
always
trying
broke.
to prove? What are you trying to prove?
You have to carry around lead with you?
And no one ever had the same. It's like, listen, just make one style of lead, right? Like, does anyone have .7 lead? Like, I got 6, it'll fit, but it's gonna be loose.
Yep.
Stupid.
Stupid.
And then like erasable pens. Like, come on, what are we? Like, just use a pencil if you don't want to.
Exactly.
You know what I
If
mean?
you're that scared, if you're using a pen, you're gonna be a man.
These things are dumb. Pencils, pens, do it. Also, my pen of choice is the Papermate Profile 1.4B.
A fantastic pen.
It's a fantastic pen.
Great pen.
I'm a pen enthusiast. Oil paint or watercolors?
I like the oil paints.
I'm gonna go watercolors. I kind of like those better.
Yeah.
Took art.
I definitely took art too.
Yep.
So.
Took that painting class, and look where I am now, people.
Podcasting.
Quirky art teacher or cool substitute?
I'm going with quirky art teacher.
Quirky art teacher. Oh, okay. So
Because my cool substitute molested a girl.
no. Was there like a period where the thing was alleged, and he was still working?
Yeah, there was. Well,
And what happened to the girl?
I don't know. I didn't follow.
How big
that
was your
much.
school?
It was a big school. It was over 1,000 kids.
I think mine was like 1,200 too.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't some like little neighborhood high school. It was like, it was one of the bigger schools in the city.
So I got a good story. So there was a teacher, and she was kind of like relatively, and not to be crass, but we were in high school. She was like, one of the like younger, like she was like, and by younger, like younger than like 50, because everyone was like old who
Yeah.
worked there. And so she was like, like there's like 32-year-old, like she was like married to like someone, so another teacher or whatever. She was like the softball coach, like a PE person in art, right? She was like kind of like a cool college girl who was athletic who like became a teacher, right?
Uh-huh.
She's art and PE. We were watching movies, and she's like, my husband's favorite movie is Predator. Do you guys want me to put? But he's like, the last couple of days of class where it's like you've turned in your final project and you're just like free painting.
Yeah.
So she's like, my husband loves Predator, so I have Predator. You guys want to watch Predator? And I'm like, fuck yes. And she's like, oh, I heard a yes, we're doing it. So
Predator in class.
we watched Predator one day, and I got nothing accomplished. And
How
then
could you with Predator on?
and then the next day, she was like, the only other movie we have here is Varsity Blues, which, if you remember, there's a whipped cream bikini in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So she puts the movie in. She's like, wait a minute, this is the movie with the whipped cream bikini. Okay, well, we'll just fast forward that part, all right? So everyone remind me to fast forward that part. And she was like dead serious, and it's like, lady, are you fucking, who's gonna do that? You know what I mean? Even if someone wanted to
What
do
high school age boy is gonna fast forward to the whipped cream bikini?
well, and like, even if you were uncomfortable with that scene, like legitimate, and someone may have been, I don't know, you're not gonna dime yourself out by being like, oh, you should skip chapter 4 now. You know what I mean? So that scene came on, she's like, oh, you guys! And I was like, listen, lady, I don't know what to tell you. It's not your fault. That was, again, nothing interesting happened in my high school at all.
Except you have to watch Predator. That's cool.
I mean, I was interested. All right, we're gonna go into some musical jibber jabber here. Smoking in the boys' room or Hot for Teacher?
Ooh, I'm going hot for teacher.
Hot for Teacher. Van Halen?
Van Halen. That opening drum, that thing's cool.
Rock and Roll High School or School's Out for Summer?
We'll rock and roll high school.
Rock and Roll High School.
Ramones.
Ramones. They wanted the airwaves. They got the grave. Yep. Everyone needs to appreciate the Ramones. Mm-hmm. Days where you watched a video, probably on a rainy day, or Heads Up 7 Up.
Ooh, I'm going with Heads Up 7 Up with this one.
Not a big fan of Heads Up 7 Up. I feel like strategy-wise, not a lot you could really improve on. with your gamership, and have something up. So I'm gonna go with video. Also, depending on your teacher, it's either like a video about hawks in Yosemite, or like, or like science, like like what's going on with the Jupiter.
Yeah, if it was a movie day in my school district, we had like 4 approved movies you could watch. It was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure,
Nice.
October Sky, Cool Runnings,
A classic.
and like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Of
course.
for some reason.
Also, I like how you say approved, aka stolen from Blockbuster and never returned. And
Pretty much.
We're just not gonna go back to that Blockbuster ever again.
I just know I've seen those 4 movies more than probably my own parents.
I watched in when I was in 6th grade. They put on 2001, and 32 children were just like, "What the fuck is this?
Yep,
Like, what the fuck is this?"
that's an intense one to show high school kids.
Yeah. Now we're gonna switch over to the book Jibber Jabber. 1984 or Lord of the Flies?
Lord of the Flies.
I never read 1984.
It's overrated.
I don't know.
I think.
I'm gonna say
Lord of the Flies is just
So by
a great
default,
story.
I gotta pick Lord of the Flies, and that is pretty good. I'm happy with that. It's a good story. Scarlet Letter or Moby Dick?
I kind of like Scarlet Letter, to tell you the truth.
I never read Moby Dick, but I'm gonna pick Moby Dick because I did not like Scarlet Letter.
All right.
Hey, listen, if you wanna get down in the biblical sense, I got no A's for you. I don't care. Do whatever you want. The Great Gatsby or getting kicked in the balls.
Oh god, I hate The Great Gatsby. He kicked me 10 times in the balls.
What's your problem with The Great Gatsby?
It's just so stupid. These
Okay,
people are
come on,
so,
that's not.
They're, it's just these people are vapid. They're not real characters. They are just.
That's a criticism, though, is that they live these frivolous lives.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're compelling or interesting to read about.
That's fair.
So I felt that story is so lauded, and I felt it was so like soap opera-y and one-dimensional. So I don't like it.
Outsiders or Pride and Prejudice?
Outsiders.
Outsiders. I never read Pride and Prejudice, though.
It's a great book. Good movie too.
Oh, so this is how racist we all were in the suburbs.
Oh boy.
So the cover of the Outsiders was in the copy we had was just like I think a pair of like PF flyers and some cuffed jeans, and and so we're having a discussion, and someone says, because black kids or African American kids or whatever, and the teacher's like, these kids aren't black, and we're like, what are you talking about? It's like they're white, they're like from Ohio or whatever, and they're a white, like greasers, like the Fonz, and we're like, but they're in a gang, and she's like, yeah, and we're like, but white people aren't in gangs. That's what black people do.
Wow.
That is how fucking racist we were.
Damn.
Yeah. And also my mind particularly was corrupted by gangster rap.
True.
But
Yeah.
we're like, white people aren't in gangs, it's all black people.
Really, I never.
And then if you ask us what does a gang do, it's like there's something with territory, and then you make rap music.
Yeah.
We didn't know, like
essentially it.
dealing drugs, petty crime. Like it's like 2 groups, like 2 sports teams.
Yep.
You got the red ones and the blues, and then you make some raps, and then fucking whatever. We had no idea how the world worked. Also, when we found out that JFK was the first Catholic president, it like literally I wish I was from the teacher's perspective where you see 32 kids' brains melt. Like, what? He was the first Catholic in the 60s?
Yep.
Like, she said, well, who do you think was the first one? We're like, Washington, duh. And like, no, he's Protestant. And I think someone raised their hand and was like, what's Protestant?
Didn't know what gangs were, didn't know what Protestants were.
Shouldn't have done that because that was not meant well.
That was a long day.
How do you not know what a Protestant is? Like, because we're Catholic and totally insular? I don't know. I don't study other religions. I'm more interested in Pokemon.
Yep.
Fucking.
Yeah, Catholic school. I'm learning so much.
My advice is don't send your kid to Catholic school. Standardized testing, too hard and arbitrary, or are these kids just dumb?
I think it's sad that we've gotten to the point where I feel like a lot of teachers are pressured to teach to a test and just take a test. Mm-hmm. But God, that standardized test was easy when I took it. I don't know what the big deal is.
I think it's like, under a certain level, it's okay. I think it's like for people who are like mid-class and above, I guess it's fine. It's kind of stupid, like, because like who give like this is the best way you can measure this shit.
Yeah.
But then if you're like in a classroom where there's more kids than books, you're crippling. It's not gonna not measuring anything because what you're measuring is not fairly created, right? If you have super old books and less books than kids, or different books, like you have like one social studies book that's like from 81, one that's from like 95, and you have like half and half. You know what I mean? You can't really measure that. So I think it's not a good way to measure things.
Yeah.
Intrinsically.
Agreed.
Dodgeball or floor scooters?
Dodgeball.
What is a floor scooter?
You know those little like 4-wheel scooters with the handles?
Never had that, homie.
Really?
Dodgeball. Dodgeball was great.
Dodgeball, I'd take that because those floor scooters, you ran over your fingers all the time.
And
Your damn fingers.
And as a not athletic kid, dodgeball was like the great equalizer because it's a game of strategy.
Yep.
Right? More than like, and I mean, lots of sports are, but not at that age, right?
Yeah.
And football is like who could run fastest, who could throw farthest. You plus you equals winning.
Yep.
Dodgeball is like, do I bump it out? Do I catch it? Do I fake a throw? Do we two sides? Catch them in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We both synchronize. Like your friend throws one at one person, you throw it a second later, so they'd have to catch that ball and then bump it out.
Yep.
Strategies, loved it.
Great game.
Pink powder soap or just don't wash your hands?
No, just don't wash your hands.
No, come on, you gotta wash your hands.
Not with that pink shit. That pink shit like takes a layer of skin off.
Yeah, the dirty layer. Homie. Red Rover or Steal the Bacon?
What is Steal the Bacon?
I hoped you'd ask.
I had no
So
idea.
you're on like it works best like on a baseball diamond, but you could do it on a kickball diamond too, like on the blacktop, but it's more dangerous.
Yeah. So
the pitch, so one team lines up on one side, one team lines up on the other side, right? So so you're on, opposite sides. Then you put it could be anything, the bacon. It could be what we use is like the chalk eraser, the big one, the big chalk eraser. Is you put that in the middle, and then you give every kid a number, right? So and then they all get in a random order, and then the teacher would call out 27, and then both 27s have to run head first into each other, grab the bacon, and then run back.
Okay.
And if you can't touch anyone until someone has touched the bacon, and once you grab the bacon, if you tag the other person, then that's no points. But if they get back, that's 1 point, right?
Okay.
So, and then fucking chaos ensues. You know what I mean? And then kids who don't pay attention. It was really good for like it was good for like the athletic kid who'd like had problems paying attention because like you have to be like on it waiting for your number, and then if you both get there at the same time, then you have to wait each other out, and then you have to like fake and like it was it's a cute little kids game.
Man, I never played that.
Did you play Red Rover?
Oh yeah, we played Red Rover.
I don't like Red Rover.
I was never a big fan.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say Steal the Bacon.
All right, it sounds fun.
Baseball, basketball, or football?
Football.
I'm gonna say basketball, but football's a close second, and baseball is a distant third.
I spent a lot of cold nights watching the football team play in the pep band. And it was always fun.
You were in the pep band?
I was.
What'd you play?
Clarinet.
Oh no, Kev!
Yeah, I know. I didn't play anything cool like trumpet.
Also,
cool.
I will admit, in elementary school, I did also play the clarinet. Switch over to the drums pretty quick.
Yep.
Executive, legislative, or judicial branch?
The executive.
I'll go judicial.
Feel like we picked that president. He's in charge.
Okay. So we're even for us, we're running a little bit long. So we're gonna wrap this up real quick with a little What This Movie High School Edition. Yes, no, haven't seen it. You know the rules. Breakfast Club.
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
I think it's a little dated, but it still holds up.
Actually, that's not true. I'll say yes.
Story holds up. Aesthetics don't.
Ferris Bueller.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm gonna also say yes. Teen Wolf.
Yes.
Would you believe I've not seen Teen Wolf?
Really?
Yeah.
We should do Teen Wolf.
I'll write it down. Got a whole page of fucking shit right here. Wolf. American Graffiti.
I just don't get the appeal of that movie. No.
I'm gonna say soft yes. Soft yes.
Yeah.
It's a little long.
I don't like nostalgia for nostalgia's sake.
Well, then you wouldn't like American Graffiti. Easy A.
Surprisingly good. Yes.
I'm gonna give it a pass. I'm gonna give it a pass. Pass fail. You got a pass.
All right.
But I expected more. Dangerous Minds.
No, but good soundtrack.
I'm gonna say no, but when I was like 13 or whatever when it came out, the answer was definitely yes.
Yeah.
But over time,
That was the first edgy movie you watched.
Last Picture Show.
Good film. Yes.
Is it more than the black and white full frontal nudity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although Sybil Shepherd is hot.
Fair enough. Rushmore.
Oh, perfect. Love that film.
Would you believe I have not seen Rushmore?
What?
Yep.
Oh my god.
I'm writing it down.
Okay. We're gonna watch Rushmore. That movie that movie did a lot of things for me. So.
Dead Poet Society.
Yeah. That was one movie we also got to watch in school a lot. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good one. That was a good one. Also, it's like you can tell when the teacher doesn't understand what theme means, where it's like, you realize this is about questioning authority, right? And you're like, yeah, but look what happened when you questioned authority. And it's like, I think you're missing the point.
Yeah, I think you didn't quite get it.
Mean Girls.
Oh, great. Yes.
Would you believe I haven't seen Mean Girls?
Oh my God. Smokey.
Clueless.
Soft yes.
I'm say soft.
I think
yes.
it has an.
An even softer yes on the TV show.
There was a TV show?
You know, remember that TV show? Donald Faison was in it.
Oh, I do not remember that at all.
Yep. It was on UPN. Bring It On.
Great film. Yes.
I do remember. I do remember it well. It'd be interesting to revisit it at this time. Dazed and Confused.
No.
Whoa!
I think that's another.
Whoa!
I think that's another like American Graffiti, just kind of nostalgia for nostalgia's sake, for a time that I'm not nostalgic for because I wasn't alive. So I
Kev,
I don't know.
I'm just living my life. LIVIN.
All right.
Hard yes.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah!
Did not like that movie.
Love that movie.
Richard Linklater's done way better.
No, name 6.
Boy.
Alright. The Fast Times at Richmond High.
That's a soft yes for me. That's a kind of an inconsistent film.
That's a crazy movie. There's like Spicoli, played by,
Sean Penn.
puts a bagel in the front of his Levi's, like with no shirt on, right? Hilarious. Wears the Vans slip-ons with the checkerboard. Awesome. But there's like some heavy shit in that movie. There's some really funny jokes, but there's like an abortion
Yeah.
in that movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, they market it as like kind of this goofy stoner comedy.
But it is not. It's like a drama.
Spicoli very much like on the front cover of it. But yeah, it is like a dramatic story. So it's.
But I'm gonna say yes, but because I think it does try to be more than what it is.
Yeah.
But I can understand how you could feel a little like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this shit.
Yeah.
Super bad.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, that's a great one. Also, Emma Stone, man,
That was her big break.
great. Friday Night Lights.
One of the better sports movies made. Yes.
Did not see the movie. Saw the TV show first season. Absolutely in love with the first season of the TV show. Episode 1 of season 2, I dropped out immediately.
Man, I've not watched the TV show.
I would recommend season 1.
I'll check it out.
American Pie.
You know,
Are we talking about the series or just the first one?
just the first.
The
one.
franchise?
Yeah. We'll do the first one. You know, I never really latched on to this movie, so I'm gonna say no.
I did like it. It was one of those movies. I mean, there is a nostalgia to it where, I somehow we were able to get in. Like I was like 12 or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a rated R movie. Like the guy didn't. We just got lucky and got in there. So I'm gonna say yes. I have no idea how it's held up. It's like I've not seen it since it came out in the theater.
Yeah.
But I remember liking it when it came out. Guy fucks a pie.
Yep. That's why my parents didn't let me watch it.
That's why I almost thought this. Oh my god! I expected you to say that's why my parents didn't buy pie.
I would never. For the record, I would never fuck a pie.
Listen, I'm not gonna say I have, because I have not. But to say I wouldn't, I mean, life will take you any kind of place, bro.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
21 Jump Street.
You know, I was not a fan of those.
What?
I've only seen the first one.
The new ones?
Yeah. I
What?
didn't like it.
You're crazy.
Didn't laugh much.
Oh my
Did not find
God.
it funny. Have not seen 22 Jump Street.
I'm gonna say hard yes, and 22 Jump Street's even better. I would even say if you don't like 21 Jump Street, you might like 22 Jump Street.
I'll give it a shot.
Because it's different. The joke is that it's the same, but then it's like the details are different. There's funny jokes.
All right.
Napoleon Dynamite.
I think before everybody quoted it endlessly, it was a really funny movie. So yes, I think we got burned out on the endless quotes.
I did not see it until way after the hype was whatever, and I really liked it. And then I was like, "Have you guys seen this movie, Napoleon Dynamite?" And that did not go over well.
You were a year late on that hype train.
I was like 5 or 4 years late on that hype train.
Yeah.
And people were just like, "Shut up." Brick.
Great. Love Brick.
Pretty great. Pretty great. The Faculty.
Fun movie overall.
Good. It's not quite there. I think it's fun, but it's not. It's just like
It could have been really great.
it's like when Robert Rodriguez is doing like he's not fully committed. He doesn't give you like everything he has.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like that.
Could have been something more.
Heathers.
I think that movie's a little too caught up in its own weirdness, so I'm gonna say no.
I've never seen Heathers.
Yeah.
Rebel Without a Cause.
Kind of one of the first really teen movies ever. So I'll give it a soft yes. I remember it being really dull.
I like it.
All right.
All right, anything else you want to add in here? Any other stories of weird, bizarro things or movies you want to reference?
Nah, I think I was so excited to tell that scandal story. So, but yeah, I think we covered the gamut of high school and high school movies and what they mean. And we're gonna watch one of the great ones in a couple minutes here, Election from 1999.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
And we're back.
We're back to school in the summer.
Terrible.
Off to a good start.
Yeah. Speaking of good starts, Kev, when and where did we watch this movie together in my place?
After we recorded the first half, we immediately watched it on Netflix, where it's still available.
And then we did not record this second half.
Yep. Wanted to stew on
A
it.
bit of time, left to let the juices settle.
And in that time, I watched it one more time.
Interesting. Would you Netflix disc?
I did Netflix again just because it's in HD. So.
And what was the motivation for this? Just the pure enjoyment,
was,
or you wanted to leg up on me? What are we doing here?
The pure enjoyment of
Right.
it. It's one of those movies I can sit down and watch any day, any time. It's just I never need to be in the mood to watch Election.
That's interesting. Of the people who I work with who listen to this podcast, when I told them like what's coming up on it, and I was like naming some shit that we're gonna do, like the Warriors and other titles, Friday the 13th, and everyone's like, oh, okay, interesting. I said Election. A lot of positive response for Election, so it'll be interesting. It seems to be a true cult favorite.
It is. It's,
in action.
It's got some legs to it, that's for sure.
So, in terms of plot, to summarize this for everyone who may or may not have seen it, overachiever Tracy Flick is running unopposed for president in her high school student election. Teacher Jim McAllister meddles in Tracy's plan, partly to establish a more democratic election, partly to satisfy some deep personal anger issues towards Tracy, as Jim's best friend and fellow teacher was fired for having a sexual relationship with her.
Dave Novotny was his name.
And there's also, it seems like part of his motivation is due to the dissatisfaction of his relationship with his wife. Jim convinces popular varsity football player Paul Metzler to run for president as well. Paul's sister also gets involved. After a lot of back and forth, Jim sleeps with his best friend's wife, loses his own wife, rigs the election in a moment of hatred, and then gets fired. Moves to New York City, works at the NHM, and Tracy goes on to a political career. That's a very broad stroke of some of the things that happen in this movie. Does not encapsulate the tone of this movie. Kev, you watched it twice for this podcast, so I feel like this question goes without saying, but it's our format. Do you like this movie?
I do like this movie. I like this movie a lot. I think, like I said in the first half, I think it's just about as perfect a movie as you can make.
Upon reflecting on something that was not perfect, is there anything in the summary that is vital to the plot that I skipped?
I don't think so. I think you hit all the big points. Yeah,
Right.
it's really...
There's a lot of little things, though, I think that also mean a lot, but...
which we're going to dig into.
Right.
But yeah, the main thing is that, Jim is really motivated because he thinks Tracy got off scot-free for the whole affair that he had with his friend who's the teacher.
Interesting.
And yeah, when she's running unopposed, nobody's challenging her, and, he feels like she didn't have to pay the price for anything. I think that's what really motivates him to, like, I'm going to throw a wrench in this thing just because I hate this girl so much.
Well, that was like my first question is why is this guy doing this? And you've seen this movie more than me.
Yep.
I should say off the bat, I do like this movie. I think it's a very enjoyable watch. I think that it's very pop in the sense that it's easy to watch, right? It's like, it's witty, it's fun. If you're paying attention, you're rewarded, right? You know what I mean? It's like, it's funny when it doesn't go too long without being funny. There's some, it's in some cases it's almost too good, I think, for its own britches. And clarify that statement, it's like, you when you get frustrated with the character, you're just like, you're the fucking idiot, you're so stupid. And then with some people, when it almost gets to the point where it's like, you get frustrated with people in a way that it's like go home heat. It's like, just go away, I hate you.
Yeah.
But you really can't fault the movie for being good in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a dark comedy.
Yeah, like, so when Jim McAllister is fucking throwing away votes, you're like, you don't do it. You know what I mean? It's like a.
But he wasn't going to do it until he sees Tracy jumping around,
Right.
and being all excited. So he knows that she snooped, and all the old feelings come back. Of like, she's gotten here on ill-gotten means. You know.
Well, okay, that's okay. So I'm glad you said that, because I was, upon reflection, last night I was preparing for this podcast, and the first thing on the list of questions here is, why does he do it? Like, what's his motivation, right? And it seems like he has, and I think, again, to this movie's strength, he has a negative relationship with women. All women, right? There's no woman in the movie that he doesn't fuck or try to fuck over.
True.
Right? Except for his girlfriend in the end. And maybe he's learned something, but maybe not.
But I mean, that's, he's gone through this whole arc of the botched election and the broken marriage and the affair.
Right.
You'd hope he's learned something.
So, I mean, the movie opens with the revelation that Tracy Flick fucks, is having a sexual relationship with Jim's best friend, who's also a teacher.
Yeah.
Jim's best friend gets very emotionally attached, right? And then later in the movie, okay, you saying this is like clearing a lot of passageways in my brain for this, because later in the movie,
that's why I'm here.
Yeah, this is why Kevin, we need Kev on this podcast. There was a thought at one point of like, I'll just talk to myself, but then it was like, but then when is Kev gonna talk?
Yeah,
it didn't work. So him and Tracy, because no one talks about this affair, right? It's not something that is openly discussed naturally. So he's talking about, some people, and he's implying that she got off scot-free, and then she implies that if the best friend didn't get so emotionally attached, it wouldn't have been a big deal, right? And
it would have been okay.
And then, that's the quote. So it's interesting is that, he's doing this to punish her for a crime that he interprets it to be that, like, hey, you got off scot-free in this relationship, and then she sinks the knife in deeper, which is like, there was no relationship. We were just boning. And it's like, this guy lost his marriage, he lost his kid, he lost his job, he lost his house, he lost his wife, he lost everything, and you're gonna be class president, which is very petty. It's not a real justification, but it does speak to why he hates her so much, which is interesting.
Yep.
But why do you think he hates his wife so much? Not hates his wife, but I mean, they kind of just say there's a great also the amount of voiceovers in this movie. There's 4.
There's 4,
which is great. And
I think that's one thing. I think we'll talk about it a little later, but Alexander Payne juggles 4 voiceovers in this movie, 4 different perspectives. Most movies have trouble with one, and he juggles, and in a movie that's an hour and a half, he gets 4, seamlessly integrates 4 different perspectives.
And no one's talking over each other. It seems very.
It's just, that's, some solid script writing, directing, everything. So, but yeah, I don't know if I don't think he hates his wife. I think she's just boring.
He's definitely bored.
With her.
He says, like, after all these years he says something to the fact that we're good, but then you see them sitting eating dinner, not talking at all.
Yep.
And then when they're having sex, she is obsessed with the idea of him, like, getting quote unquote filling her up.
Yep.
And she's saying it in a way that I think
in the least erotic way.
Well, I think she thinks it's erotic, but to him it's like not.
Yeah.
And so then he imagines Tracy, so he's kind of attracted to Tracy too. So he has this weird contentious relationship with, like.
Well, then they show the first sex scene, and he finishes, and she says, "Okay, good job." Like he's just property, or like he's just an inseminator so that they can have a baby.
Right.
And she starts doing the yoga move where you curl up your legs.
Right. Keep it in there.
Yeah. It's supposed to increase the flow. It's what Julianne Moore does in The Big Lebowski. So
interesting.
But yeah, I think he doesn't feel like he's not being fulfilled sexually, and she just sees him as like, I'm just using you to get a baby. Well,
but it's very interesting is that it's never. There's no. exposition, and there's not even. It's all like circumspectly, not circumspect. Fucking, it's all implied, right? That like he is mad at her for getting his best friend fired and fucking his best friend over, but at the same time he is aroused by her and aroused by his friend's relationship, and that is never explicitly stated, but just through osmosis and all the things that happen in the movie, you kind of figure it out. I mean, I guess when her head is over his wife's head, I mean, I guess that's pretty clear. Like, he's like, there's a sexual component here. But he never lusts after her. There's never another scene where he lusts after her.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. Do you think that he's sympathetic?
I think...
and by he, I mean Matthew Broderick's character.
Jim McAllister. I think he is a little... His plight's a little sympathetic. I tried watching the movie from the angle of, like, is he sympathetic in any way? I think he is justified a bit in his pursuit of Tracy Flick. He doesn't... It's not for the best reasons in the world, but I think Tracy is somebody who kind of just... Like a lot of politicians, kind of just coasts by on their charm and does step on people. I mean, she's not innocent in this. She did have an illicit affair.
Yeah, but in the
she tore down the posters.
Well, okay, I think
she lied about tearing down the posters.
The poster thing is definitely, that's legitimate. In terms of the sexual relationship, it's like that dude, you know, in context of her being like what, 17 or 18 in this movie, 17?
Yeah.
And the guy being like 35, 38, you know? Like, that's his fault. Like, he should know better, right? And he's like, she should know better, but she's a child, and he should know better, and he's an adult. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. Like, you know.
Exactly. They both should have known better.
But it's his fault because he is the adult, I think. Right? It's like,
agreed.
Like,
yeah.
She doesn't know any better. She's a fucking kid. You know what I mean? Like, you know better. I mean, you're an adult, and you're a teacher.
X gonna give it to you.
I don't think he's justified in the sense that, like, I mean, they do, it is made clear that no one in the school knows about the sexual relationship. It's just like, it's been kind of tossed under the mat. But what really, I mean, I don't think he should, like, you know, to quote unquote slut shame her, because, you know, like, that's not right. Like, you know, she had sex with this dude. She shouldn't have done it, but there's no, I don't know. It's like, you shouldn't punish her for that. You shouldn't, there's no I mean, I don't know, there's not really a grievous offense in that way that we should be mad at this girl. She got kind of taken advantage of. She knew what she was doing, but again, I just keep coming back to the fact that guy's an adult and a teacher, and you should have known better. And then it's like, what are you gonna? I don't know. It's like you want to knock her down a peg because she's annoying, but like all kids are fucking annoying. Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't think he's. The movie portrays him in a sympathetic light, and it's a very lighthearted, tonal movie, even when heavy things are happening. Like the scene where he walks in on his wife and his wife's best friend talking about how he cheated on her. Like, that scene is funny. He's like, oh, okay, and he walks away.
It's done with no dialogue.
Right.
It's just, the baby crying. He walks in,
sees them.
They both have tears in their eyes.
He peeks around the corner like fucking Bugs Bunny.
And then, his reaction is, oh, okay, and then he walks out.
Right. So I don't think his pursuit of revenge is justified. I think he's being petty.
That's fair.
And also the fact that he's attracted to her, I think is his real motivation. Where it's like, I think the implication is like, why didn't you fuck me? You know what I mean? Because he wants to have sex with his.
Interesting perspective.
He wants to have sex with his best friend's wife, his best friend and his wife's best friend, which is the same person.
Yeah.
He wants to have sex with her. So it's just a weird thing where he's sexually under. Stimulated, thank you. And so he wants it from this girl, and I think he's jealous. I think he's jealous of his best friend. I don't know. I don't think he's justified. I think he's a real monster in this movie, and they really don't. It's a comedy. So, I mean, like, there's a version of this movie that's like a horror movie.
Yeah, it could be like Fargo with Jerry Lundegaard,
right? Or like that Jennifer Lopez movie, The Boy Next Door.
You can't stop me. I live next door. That trailer was.
Were we together when that trailer played?
When we saw the guest at the AMC Century 15.
Did we see it at the AMC Century?
Yeah, we totally did.
Okay.
And that audience.
I thought we saw the guest at Cinefamily. No, we saw it.
Saw You're Next.
You're Next.
You're Next at Cinefamily. So. We go to a lot
Touche.
of movies, folks.
Touche, Kev. Touche. And I got a real bad memory.
Yep.
People, that line, so back to that line, you can't get rid of me. I live next door. And the whole audience, all 350 people, were just howling with laughter. And I think there was multiple, what? And I think one of them was me.
Yep.
Where I was just like, this is literally unbelievable.
That trailer is fantastic. High trash.
Oh, man.
Let's talk a bit about. I want to talk about Paul Metzler and the Metzler family.
Okay.
A little bit.
Do you want to? We can do that. We can do that.
So yeah, I like. If Jim is kind of this conniving, sexually deviant, just weird dude, Paul is like the most cherub, charming, like perfect little kid.
Naive, innocent.
Naive.
Okay, actually,
Kind of dopey. Well, he is very
dopey. Dopey as fuck, actually,
Yeah.
I would say. Also, you're blowing my mind here because there is a total parallel between Tracy and the girl, the sister, Tammy, Tracy and Tammy, and Paul and Jim.
Yep.
Because Paul and Jim are opposites, right? Where one is, vengeful and vindictive, and the other one is nice to the point of ignorance.
Yep.
And then with the girls, you have one person who is driven to the point of just singular vision and horny, and then another girl who's horny with no singular vision.
Yep.
So those are opposites too, in a way. Keep going.
See, it's a deep script, man.
Yeah,
Like when you start picking it apart,
when you start,
all these layers and all these payoffs really all tie into each other.
it's a delicious horchata. It's rice milk, it's cinnamon, it's whatever sugar, it's whatever else in horchata.
Keep digging,
but it doesn't.
There's more layers everywhere.
And it doesn't taste like cinnamon sugar rice milk drink. It tastes like a third thing, horchata.
It's a good way to put it. But yeah, Paul is like very.
He's a pile of bricks when it comes to just like getting what's going on.
His best, Paul. What's your favorite fruit? Pears. It's just
great. Pears
kills me every time.
No, apples.
Apples. And then I also like bananas. When Tracy confronts him about being president, and he's already in over his head. He's got the sign that's basically written on an old pizza box that says, "Sign up for Paul Metzler for president." And then he's trying to justify to Tracy, like, "No, Mr. McAllister said maybe because I can't do football and something about fruits." He gets thrown into a situation he doesn't fully understand, but out of the goodness of his heart, he thinks he's doing somebody a favor.
Yeah.
I think so. He's just a very interesting contrast to everybody else in this movie who's kind of amoral and will step on everybody.
And he has very little self-awareness and no ambition. And this is no better personified than when he does his student class president speech. And he's just... And I mean, shout out to Chris Klein for really nailing... Like, when someone is not familiar with something that they've written and is just trying to get through it without existing. Like, he doesn't want to exist. He wants to just, like... He doesn't want to live through this moment. He wants to just be in the next one. So he's like, vote for me for class president. No. He gets that pentameter down, dude. And that scene is just fucking amazing.
And it's perfect contrast to Tracy Flick's speech, which is very calculated. And she's worked out every single beat, and what she's going to say. And yeah, his is one long run-on sentence with like one breath in the middle, one perfectly timed comic breath.
Yeah. Which is in contrast to the sister, Tammy's one, which is basically her just being unprepared and talking. However, I did have a huge problem with Tammy's character in that.
All right.
And listen, times are different now. We live in a world, gay marriage is legalized, justifiably so. All you prejudiced people, stop listening to the podcast.
Yeah, you've been having a bad month, prejudiced people.
Hulk Hogan. Brother. So, dude, she has this whole anti-class, like, fuck, we bullshit, it doesn't even matter. And it's like, and everyone's like, yeah, and the whole audience cheers. And it's like, that moment to me rang... It's very funny in the way that it's set up, right? And it's a great contrast to, like, the other two people who are really into this for reasons it's like a student class president. This shit doesn't matter. But there's no school where that's true. People have pride in stupid shit for dumb reasons, and it makes no sense. I.e. sports, i.e. the school you went to. You know what I mean? Like, people have class spirit. I don't have class spirit. I don't understand why people would do, but in my experience, they do. Would you say that speech would have flown with the student body in your school?
Hard to say. I didn't go to a lot of assemblies. We played poker in the cafeteria.
What kind of hog wild bullshit is that?
If you didn't want to go, you could hang out in the cafeteria.
Dude, there's not one assembly in my high school that you couldn't get out of.
We played Hold'em. Shit. But
or was it Magic Cards? You can tell us now. It's just you, me, and the podcast.
There was the Magic Card gang. I was not part of that.
Listen,
there were the Magic people.
All I'm gonna say is they made a Magic game for the iPhone, and it's free.
Oh boy!
And I do have downloaded it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh boy!
I just felt like that moment rang completely false, and I mean maybe that's my perception, just given my experience in life. But I just really did not connect to that moment at all.
All right.
And I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but she wants to get expelled from the school so that she can go to an all girls Catholic school.
Yeah. Immaculate Heart.
With the guise of like hooking up with chicks.
Yeah.
Nah, homie. Nah. I went to a co-ed Catholic school, but we knew people who went to the one. They burned lesbians at the stake there for witchcraft. You know what I mean? Like,
did you go to a Midwestern one though? Because he might were in the Midwest. Too.
I was in. Truth be told, I was in the Bay Area, but you'd be surprised how conservative a Catholic group gets in even a liberal area like the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
there's lots of racism and misogyny and the hatred of gays, which has a word.
Homophobia.
A lot of homophobia.
Yep.
And it was even worse in the old boys' school and even worse in the old girls' school. So that's all I'm saying is that character to me, that don't make any sense to me.
All right.
That's all I'm saying. Also, to further my point that people have class pride, this is my little anecdote. So there's like school pride week or whatever. Every grade has a color. So if you're a freshman, it's like blue, red for sophomores, green for juniors, black for seniors. So my senior year, I wore an all-white outfit on that day. Uh-huh. And dude, people were just like, "What? Who do you think you are, man?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I wear these white pants all the time." And they're like, "No, you don't. No, you don't. You did this on purpose."
Jeez.
They got mad.
I mean, I definitely had those people in my school, but just nobody. In the movie, Carver is like this big dog and pony show for the election. They have like voting booths and all these campaigns, and maybe they're so tightly wound with this thing that Tammy just breaks the ice on that, though.
I mean,
like they make it a big deal.
It's possible. I do feel like it's an older man's cynical view in a comedic way of Gen X apathy. But I just don't. To me, that just doesn't ring true.
All right.
That's just me, though. But I will say that those scenes were all very funny, and the reveal that Tammy would have won had she not been expelled.
Yep.
That's funny too. Again, doesn't ring true at all, but it is funny.
And I always like the principal's line after the assembly when he goes, "That little bitch made a fool of us." It's so good.
And they do pick their moments to be crass in this movie, and they really sing.
Oh yeah. Alexander Payne's really good at casting regular people. Mm-hmm. Like the girl, the older lady who does the announcements, like the school nurse, Dave's wife. He's really good, and this is true of all of his movies. He doesn't cast like camera ready people all the time. It's like not every clerk is this beautiful, young girl or something like that, or this handsome man. It's like he's really good, has a good eye for casting just kind of normal looking people.
And even taking movie stars and portraying them. Also, which, again, to jump ahead, but the amount of mom jeans in this fucking movie is goddamn depressing. I'm so happy we're not in the 90s anymore.
It was a mom jean apocalypse.
Ugh, goddamn. It's just like,
Tracy's got him. Linda's got him.
It's just...
Jim's wife.
And they're kind of back nowadays. I mean, they're a little bit...
Oh, they are back.
They're a little bit better done than they were in the 90s. But
not by much.
The pleated mom pants, just... Ugh. So they really...
High-waisted. Don't do it, ladies. Come on.
Yeah, love yourself.
You're better than that.
Yeah, you're better than that. So you're sorry. The initial thing here, you're talking about the brother and sister.
Yeah. Again, and we already kind of touched on it. Yeah, Paul is sort of the polar opposite of Jim. Tammy's the opposite of Tracy. And yeah, they're the four main characters that we follow. And yeah, it's just very skillful how he weaves. All of their conflicts all pay off each other in some way.
Right.
Like, Tracy tearing down the posters is both like a crushing moment for her and a moment of tension, but they parlay it into a payoff for Tammy.
Right, it's her opportunity to get out of here.
To get what she wants.
Right.
So, and then there's Paul who, he gets Jim what he wants, but it forces Jim to like pull his hand and like get rid of the votes. And then Paul is really like over the moon about it, even though he doesn't really know what to do. He feels like he just did Jim a favor, and then that like weighs on Jim's guilty conscience. And then they find the votes in the trash can. So, but then Paul's life doesn't really change that much. He says like he has that post comment of, "I wonder what happened if I would be class president.
Maybe I'd be dead."
The one line I like better than that is like, "Maybe I wouldn't have gone to Yosemite." It's like, that was the extent of his life because he was too busy making the haunted house, like making it really scary. And it's that whole thing just did not affect Paul like in any way. Like his arc is a classical comedic arc where he doesn't learn anything. Paul just does Paul things.
Well, I'm not sure anyone learns anything in the end.
Ultimately, that's, classical definition of a comedy is, the character doesn't grow over the course of the whole journey. And what does that say about the society they were in, the character themselves? Nobody really changes, but some get what they want, some don't. And it really shows it. So let's jump ahead a little bit. Let's talk about the original ending that they did.
Okay.
So the original ending that they shot and was written is that Jim is working at
a used car lot.
Tracy shows up.
And this is right after.
Yeah, this is
like
Tracy's graduated.
Right. So basically, the election logically takes place at the beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
So then this is the end of the school year, or the end of the summer of that school year. So 9 months later, fair to say.
And Tracy's coming to buy a car to go to Georgetown and have in college. And they talk, they do a test drive, and they basically reconcile in the end. So in that ending, they both will grown and learned something. But that ending did poorly with test audiences, so they have...
Because I don't think that the movie preceding that scene builds to that moment.
No, absolutely not. Like, they have no reason to reconcile, I don't think.
Yeah.
So then it builds up to him... it's years later, he's in New York.
Because, just really quick, because in that ending... so basically, he like you said, right? He feels like Tracy got away with a crime, or a thing. So he wants to punish her. And then, basically... the punishment is that she's gonna lose the election, and then what happens is that, again, because just like how his friend should know better, he should know better than not to do this. He does something naughty. He gets in trouble, just like his friend got in trouble, and then he loses his job, just like his friend got in trouble. So now she's won twice in his book. So why would you, other than maybe if you could sell it the idea that revenge begets no real justice. The only real justice is to forgive or something.
Yeah.
But I just feel like tonally the movie is not selling you on that.
No, it's always kind of that, the lighthearted, dark tone.
Yeah, of
this movie balances really well. Mm-hmm. And then the new ending is that, he goes to New York, he thinks he's got his new life, he takes a vacation to Washington, D.C., sees her with a leading senator of Nebraska, getting into a limo, and all the old feelings just come back, within the voiceover. He's like, she must be so sad. She's living this boring life.
A repetitive life.
Yeah, a repetitive life.
Which is the same insult
he was living.
that she gave.
That she threw out.
And it's both about civics, right? Because he was talking about, he was teaching civics, and then she's living civics.
Yep.
And they both, in voiceover, give the same criticism. Like, the life must be so boring, teaching kids the same shit every year. And then he's like, her life must be boring, waking up early and getting nothing done.
And then he goes, why is she in that limo? Why is she with those people? Why the fuck is she doing that? And then he throws the milkshake at her and runs away. Just, to me, that's a much better ending. And, encapsulates, everybody kind of stays where they were. The election does affect them. This whole thing changed their lives to a point, but emotionally they're very stunted.
Well, and that's the thing, is that Jim is pursuing this justice that he thinks exists, and he never gets it. And Tracy is pursuing the success that she wants, but in the end, we're not left with the idea that she has it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's on her way towards it, perhaps, but it's not...
Yeah, we don't know what she's doing.
Right.
We just know that, she's riding around limos with senators, so she's doing something, but we don't know exactly what her job is, you know?
So it's like everyone tries to get what they want, but once they get it, we don't know if they find happiness.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and then, of course, the last shot of the movie is that Jim is teaching at the NHM. He asks, what's the difference between Ignatius and whatever rock? No science major.
Yes.
And then, the one go-getter girl, like, raises her hand, just like Tracy did, and, like, you can see all the old feelings.
Yeah.
And it's, it all cycles back around, so...
It's a pretty hopeless movie that doesn't feel as dark as I think as it really is.
It's not like The Longest Day,
like
where
if
you're
you
just shattered at the end,
right, or like buried or something.
Yep.
It's a interesting. If you're listening to us talk about this, you haven't seen this movie. I think if you go and watch it, it'll not be what you would expect.
Yep.
You expect something that's a lot darker, a lot quieter, a lot moodier, and it's not a moody movie in a negative way.
Kind of being marketed that way back when it came out, like this is a dark comedy. It's like,
and it is a dark comedy, but tonally it's a light comedy.
It's very it's the music's very kind of light. The performances are very bright and sharp.
And stylistically, it's not mean.
Nobody dies. Yeah, it's not mean. Exactly. That's a good point. Nobody dies in this thing.
Right.
Nobody.
Well, and I think
nobody gets completely, utterly fucked over and their life is ruined.
Well, one could argue that getting divorced from your wife and losing all your stuff is pretty harrowing.
But he gets to move to New York.
It's true.
In his basement apartment for $1,500 a month in 90s dollars.
Yeah. Shit.
Plus utilities.
So every time anyone talks about New York, I'm always like, I'm glad I don't live in New York.
Yeah. I've been there.
Not a fan?
I liked it, but I could not live there.
Yeah.
This is coming from a guy who lives in LA.
But that's the thing is that, like, LA, everything's very expensive, but it's like, yeah, but the sun shines 320 days a year.
Yep.
And all those other days, you're sleeping in anyways. It doesn't even matter.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like...
In New York, everything's 10 times more expensive, and it gets cold.
And I'm not interested, at this point in my life, I'm not interested in seasons, guys.
Yep.
Don't care for seasons.
Seasons are overrated.
I want
folks.
summer, and that other one that kind of is not summer.
Fall or spring.
No. In LA, we got two seasons.
That's
There's
true.
summer, and then there's meh.
Although apparently we're gonna get rained on this winter.
Yeah.
Say, with our El Nino.
I'll be home.
We need it, and I'll be home with my cup of hot cocoa.
Hot cocoa, watch an election. So I want to come back to Tracy. I think do you think that Tracy's a bad person?
Yes and no. I think she definitely does step on people to get where she wants. She tears down the posters in a fit of rage, knowingly, like she knows what she's doing as she's doing it, even though she's somewhat blinded with rage.
Mm-hmm.
She throws them away, knows she got caught, but the only thing...
Let someone take the fall for her?
Well, she got lucky that somebody was willing to, because for Tammy it was a way out. And then she completely oversells it when she's like, "You're gonna pay for my posters!" She completely oversells her hate towards her, and always tries to portray herself as this grand innocent person who's she's destined for great things, It's kind of like Hillary Clinton in this current election cycle that we're in.
But
it's
serious political jibber jabber. Here we go.
Little political jibber jabber. It's I deserve this because I've been doing it so long. I should be president because that's just what we do. So that's how it is.
So who do you want?
I want Bernie Sanders, baby. I'm on the Bernie Sanders bandwagon. So look forward to that.
I'm very disconnected from politics right now.
Yeah, the only problem is we got a year and a half of this shit left. So.
All I know is that when Arnold turns heel and runs with Trump, that's when I'm gonna get real interested.
Then it'll get fun.
Heel
Those
turn.
debates will be a good time.
Heel turn. He's gonna bump. There's gonna be a ref bump. The ref goes down. Arnold runs in. You think he's gonna hit Trump with the chair? No. He hits Bernie Sanders with the chair. They celebrate after he gets the victory. NWO for life.
And Anderson Cooper comes in and just pile drives him and DTFs him and takes care of him.
Anderson Cooper from the rafters. We're out of time, you guys.
Boom.
I think that Tracy is a bad person. I think she's a kid and she has the potential to bring it back, but she uses people, and again, through implication, like, she doesn't have any friends, but then she does involve herself with people. Like, when she votes, there's someone there to take her picture, and and then there's people helping her with her posters. There's implication that she doesn't value people. She values the power. Like, it's clear to me that she values the power that comes with this position and not the effect it would have on anyone or anything.
Yeah.
And that she is just not really a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, she's just and then she uses that the adult again. I don't think it's her fault, just in the way that society works. But no, she does tell Matthew Broderick, like, like, I didn't like that guy. I was just like, he got emotionally attached, and that's the problem. We could have had fun, but he got emotionally attached. So, it's like, but the implication of that, of just like, I didn't like him.
Yep.
As a person, as anything. He was just like, an easy lay.
Yeah, that's a very telling moment.
Yeah.
Of who Tracy is.
Right.
And she's like, that didn't have any effect on me.
Right.
It's like, he's the one who fucked up.
The effect on me was that I almost got in trouble.
Yep.
And then, yeah, like, when, like, she could have taken it's a moment played for comedy, but I think it is telling when, the posters get ripped down, the girl admits to it, Tammy admits to it. She could have just taken the victory and just walked away from it. But instead, she's like, you're going to pay for my posters.
Yep.
And it's like, it's that extra thing of like, you want to punish, this girl's taking the bullet for you, but you want her to take more punishment. Now you want money from her. You know what I mean? And I think, if Jim McAllister was like, yeah, you're going to have to pay for these posters, I think she would have taken that money. Mm-hmm. I think the implication is there that it's like, once she's gotten away with something, she's just going to ride it. There's not even a remorse of just like, oh, well, I feel bad for you because you're probably going to get expelled. And taking the high road. She takes the low road.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know. I think that she's a kid, and as a kid, you can always bend it back, but like, she's a bad person.
Well, then there's the scene in when she's in Georgetown, and people are doing what you do in the dorm, just sit in the hallway and talk to your friends. Mm-hmm. She comes out in her curlers. She's like, "Can you please be quiet?" It's like, again, she's always just trying to like get people to do what she wants, mm-hmm. and just being divorced from the real world, which means she's perfect for politics.
Indeed. And speaking of that, there's a really interesting scene that kind of ties up everything that we're talking about right now, where you see Tammy, Tracy, and Kevin Kline's character pray.
Chris Klein.
Chris Klein.
Kevin Kline would be a little too old for Paul Metzler.
Smidge. You see them pray, right?
Yep.
Now, Catholic school, recovering Catholic. So when you pray, because of course there's lessons on how to pray. Yeah. You're not supposed to be asking God for things. You're supposed to be thankful and asking God to help other people, right? That's like the guys of prayer. I'm sure there's lots of religious people listening to this who are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" This is just my experience with the crazy fucking Catholic upbringing that I had. There was definitely instructions on how to pray. Mr. Kline is doing it right? Where he's praying for his sister, he's praying for, for everything to work out. Yep. He's asking God to do the right thing. Tracy is like, "God, you owe me this. You better, or else." And
don't let that cunt Tracy win.
Yeah.
They throw out the C word.
And then Tammy just wants to. She's like, punish her for rejecting me. Yep. So it's like, it's like asking God for revenge, asking God to do your will, and then asking God to help other people. So and then you have Mr. McAllister who doesn't pray.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting thing there with like, you want a vengeful God.
Yeah. And Paul Metzler thanks him for the nice truck and the above-average penis. He's thankful.
He is thankful. So I think that scene is very telling on people's motivations and who they are, right? Yep. I do think that the sister is a little bit underwritten as a character.
Yeah, she's definitely the fourth character.
Yeah, she's a three-dimensional character.
If you really fleshed her out, this movie would have been like 2 hours and 10 minutes. If you really like an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. If you really gave her the same amount of time. It could have. I think it would have bogged it down. They give her just enough to make her compelling.
She's a three-dimensional character, but she's only there to serve the plot of the movie, right? Like, once she gets expelled, and then they wrap it up by saying, like, she finds a lesbian relationship at the Catholic school, but that's it, you know what I mean? Like, there's not really any other... We don't... You know, Paul we kind of visit a year later. We visit Tracy and Jim several years later, but she kind of falls away into the ether, you know what I mean?
You want a little more wrap up on Tammy?
Well, in some ways you don't need it, I think, but in some ways it's like, yeah, it'd be nice. It's interesting how the siblings, they stay close to the plot of the movie, right? Like, when the plot of the movie, or, you know, the plot of the, you know, and then their stories end kind of with that, and then we see Tracy and Jim later in life, and with more attention onto Jim. So I think, and ultimately, it is Jim's story.
Yeah, Jim's the main character.
And I think as Jim loses track of people, he loses track of them, right? It's like he loses track of the girl when she goes to a different school. He probably hears about what Paul's done a year later, and then with Tracy, he loses track of her until he sees her again. So, you know, it's just an interesting perspective. And I do think you see this movie from Jim's perspective, which is probably why he's not as monstrous as he could have been portrayed.
Yeah.
Because asking your best friend's wife, who's your wife's also best friend, like, hey, should we get a motel room? It's pretty sleazy.
That's a little, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even as, it's just not inappropriate even as like a light joke, you know?
Yeah. Right after they got divorced because he fucked a 15-year-old or whatever.
Yeah. Because they were in love.
Oh! I mean, we kind of talked about the circular stuff that goes on in this movie. Everyone kind of repeats lines that everyone else says, or they modify them slightly, which is very interesting. And then Apple is always right before something bad's about to happen, or basically something bad's about to happen. Which, upon a second watching, right, it's like, you know, under an apple tree he gets stung by the bee.
Yep.
You know, there's apples when right before he finds out his wife has been told that he cheated on her, and then when you go back to the election thing, it's like, this is a bad idea, right? It's telegraphing the idea that, like, asking this guy to run to spite this girl, not in your best interest, Jimmy.
And there's also, when Tammy starts running, there's a little montage of, like, Tracy saying, oh, she can't do it. Paul's like, is this a conflict of interest? In the background of every shot of Jim, there's an apple on his desk. So it's the next bad thing that's going to happen in this story.
Interesting.
With Tammy coming in.
Interesting.
So, yeah, apples are an interesting symbol they use throughout. But not, like, overt, because apples are kind of a staple of a school environment, you know? It's a classic, like, you give a teacher an apple,
right.
you know?
It's not like,
It's not a really forced symbol, I don't think. So, same with Coke and Pepsi. Kind of splattered throughout the movie.
Well, is because he likes Pepsi.
Yep.
So what do you think is going on there?
Oh, there's, you know, yeah, he likes Pepsi, so he's always kind of against the grain, kind of wanting to do, you know, not just getting the one thing because everybody else does it, but, and then there's a Coke sign on the Immaculate Heart billboard, which I think has something, but I'm not, I don't know, I'm still working on this metaphor to figure out what it is, but I'm trying to think where else we see it. I don't know. I should have.
Well, whatever. I mean, you know, it's a movie that's deep, and it's not, you know, things that, again, like, these are not, what's great about the symbolism in this movie is it's things that are found in the environment naturally. It's not like, you know, there's a gun, and the gun means bad things are going to happen, or a red wall. It's like, why would a school have all these red walls? You know what I'm saying? It's like...
Hello, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. It's not as big and broad as that. It's like an apple. An apple is a benign symbol normally, but then this is making it like a, you know, not benign. What's the other word? Malignant. I don't know.
Not malignant. Making it important.
I'm trying to relate this to cancer, and I don't think it's gonna work. So it's just an apple, which is normally an innocent thing, is just a fucking fruit, something you find in a school. They're making it this menacing thing upon reflection.
Yep.
Which is interesting.
Yep.
Do you want to get into cool stuff, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
Let's see. I feel like I had one more thing to talk about. Yeah, let's get into cool stuff and nitpicks.
All right, so let me set the clock here. Go. Cool stuff.
The janitor. I love the janitor.
Get revenge. The opening where it's opening on the sprinkler noise, and you see the sprinkler really speaks to the way people view their lives in this town as monotonous.
Yep.
Like that.
Again, lots of different. I like the regular look of a lot of different people, especially the kid who's in charge of the election.
really dry, a little dry funny. It's like you know what I mean? Love that.
Pears.
Also, Chris Klein, speaking of Pears, this is like his best acting role he's ever done. Sadly, his first acting role, but he really knocks it out.
Yep. I like that Paul really cares about Tammy. He like brings her homework. He prays for her. He like, you know, if he didn't know about the girlfriend, he would have felt bad about that. But he kind of doesn't know that they were in a relationship,
right?
Know? So yeah, I thought that was a nice touch.
The movie is really paced well. It moves, and you don't ever feel even
oh boy,
not too much for 1 minute.
We ain't done.
It really moves. It's just a really greatly paced movie.
Yep. Agreed. And yeah, juggling 4 main characters and keeping it under, you know, an hour 45. Alexander Payne, he's skilled, man. He tells good human stories.
And not that fucking your best friend wife is good, but the fact that he does it and it just elates the thing in you of just like, no, come on, what are you doing now? The fact that he's able to like manipulate you in that way, I feel like is great. So where you're just like, you fucking idiot.
Yep. Also, I like on the motel, the sign says "Welcome Seed Dealers." I just think that's funny.
The
it's a good little joke. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting how when I say that Reese Witherspoon, who's someone who I think, you know, like I really didn't like Reese Witherspoon for a long time. I think she kind of got in the Matthew McConaughey mode of like just phoning it in for these, you know, romantic comedies that like no one really wanted. But this movie, and then recently I saw her in that one where she's walking a bunch. Wild. Like these two performances are like, oh, this is why you're an actress. Like, because you are good at these things. And you know, like that Vince Vaughn movie she was in, and all the other shit. It's just like, oh, these are just, you know, like this isn't like you're better than that. You're capable of something like this.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't seen Wild yet, but yeah, I've heard nothing but good things.
I might have it on Blu-ray. I'll let you borrow it.
Ooh, I'll take that.
Also, VHS porn. Oh, man.
Touchdown!
Oh, God.
The middle-aged high school quarterback. Apparently, that was the first AD on the movie. The guy playing the porn star quarterback.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. You know, you get talent where you find it.
All right. Do you want to get into nitpicks?
Nitpicks, I don't have very many. Let's get into it.
My nitpicks are really nitpicky, right? Like things that.
That's why we got the nit. That's why we have the nitpick section.
Right. And then in this time, it's true nitpicks.
You go first.
A bell sneaking up on a class, like everyone's caught off guard by the bell. There's just no fucking way.
Yeah.
Kids with 10 minutes to go, they're packing up the bag.
That's in every movie. Yeah, it's like patiently waiting for the bell and all that. Jim really should have gotten somebody to look after his class during the pop quiz while he was doing his thing.
Yeah, TA or something.
I was like,
a sub.
I don't believe for a second that a class would be nice enough to not cheat on that test. You know?
Going to an all-girls school to find lesbians, homie, you'd be better off staying where you're at.
I believe it. The scene when he's in the Italian car, I think, is a little too on the nose, broad. I think a little bit.
What scene is that?
After he has sex with Linda, and he's like,
oh, and then it's like he thinks he's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I think that one's a little too. I don't know. It's a little too surreal for the comedy tone of this movie.
School pride, that's a thing, man. I just don't agree with that.
All right. I don't know how they do it in Nebraska, but
it's true. I've never lived in Nebraska or been there.
Yep.
Let me wrap it up. And also, the idea that Tammy would win, again, just bullshit.
One thing I forgot to bring up that I really like, Alexander Payne uses a lot of different styles in this movie and a lot of different techniques to tell the story. He uses voiceovers. He uses kind of surreal comedy. He uses
really good visual storytelling. Some slapstick, not much. Peppered in for good effect.
Yeah, but yeah, lots of like camera moves and dissolves that are really like when I love when Jim is trying to sleep and Tracy's mouth is right in his ear saying all those things.
Yeah.
Like special and perfect. That's it. Just I like all. He didn't limit himself. He used all kinds of different things to tell the story, and it works in a really effective way. So,
got two more nitpicks.
All right.
90s jeans. Fuck the 90s.
Oh boy.
Lisa
and 90s like carpet and couches
Ugh.
all throughout this movie. So much wood trim, so many dark colors.
And then Lisa is a bit underdeveloped, but I think in retrospect, you know, she's a character that really is just meant to serve as a foil.
Yeah.
And
It's the whole reason Tammy gets into the election
Yeah.
to start with. But then her thing evolves into doing something else.
right. So it is what it is.
Plus they get to fuck and have a hot tub. And another great thing, I love when Tracy gives him the cupcake, and he just gives Jim the cupcake after he's been stung by the bee, after his affair has fallen apart, his life is basically ruined, and he just hate eats that cupcake.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
God, that's good.
Oh man. So I think overall, this is a pretty great movie. It's definitely worth watching. It's an interesting look at like just life and how it could get away from you and stuff. And just, I think a lot of different people take a lot of different things from this movie. I think,
And it works as just a basic comedy.
Right.
Like, without ever having to dive into it and really think about all the different things going on. Just as a laugh a minute comedy, it works, you know. So it's impressive that they can pull that off. Like, tell just a basic comedy narrative story, but there's all these other things going on in it if you really start picking away at it.
indeed.
Good stuff.
Indeed. Sometimes we talk about a crazy fan theory on this podcast. I think my interpretation of Jim is the crazy fan theory in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we need. Do you have anything?
No, not really.
All right. Sequel ideas?
Sequel idea, Tracy runs for president or high office, and Jim tries to sabotage that election.
I think it would be much better if instead of high office, it was like low office, like, treasurer or mayor or something on a small scale.
City council seat in Omaha.
Like upstate New York. She's trying to get her shit going or something.
Yep.
And he happens to live there, and maybe a reversal where she is the person in charge and he is just like the underling.
Yeah.
And she wants to punish him, and then he's like, you know what I mean?
Yep. That could be it.
Yeah, I think
kind of election meets Taxi Driver almost.
with hopefully the same ending.
Let's hope so. And a mohawk.
Yeah, and a drawer turned into a gun.
Yep. Drawer gun.
Drawer gun. Boom. All right, so I think that's it for us.
Yep. So yeah, go watch Election. It's a great film.
Pretty good. I did like it.
And watch get into some more Alexander Payne films as well.
Mm-hmm.
Check them out. Citizen Ruth is that was his first film. Very much in the same vein as Election. Dark comedy, lots of satire.
He also did that one with the George Clooney's Hawaiian.
Yeah, The Descendants.
The Descendants.
It's a great film too.
I do want to check that out.
good.
Shailene Woodley, shout out.
That was kind of her breakout role. So.
Indeed.
Yeah, check them out. Yeah, Alexander Payne, Matthew Broderick, Election. Great film.
All right, we're out of here. Take it easy. Vote for Flick.
Paul Metzler, you Betzler. Politician.
All right, see you later.
Have a good one. seems so long ago.
It does, but it was only 10 weeks. It's basically 10 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's we've come a long way in a short time.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's recorded.
We'll see if this ends up at the end of the episode. All right, ready?
Ready.
Okay. Confetti in the raised.
Part 2 of election.
Here we go.